What's Israel's reaction to the deaths of these aid workers?
Good morning. This is another devastating day of the war. Look, I think that when we talk about Israel's reaction, we have to remember that this insane, terrible killing of innocent people, in this case, foreign workers, is not unique. You know, if you would invite me every day that my country has killed innocent people during this war, I will be speaking with you every single morning in the last half year. There is huge and terrible tolerance and indifference towards killing of innocent people. And of course, what happened yesterday is terrible and devastating, and I completely understand why there is a lot of discourse about this specific incident, because we're talking about British citizens, foreign citizens, not Palestinians. There is a killing of innocent people every single day, and when I hear my country, the representatives trying to justify, saying it's unintentional and so forth, I believe them, it's not intentional, okay? But the killing of innocent is not unique here, and it's part of the way we fight in Gaza for years. It's not unique for this situation, and that's what I think we all have to understand.
And Ori, there were 3 separate vehicles, at least 2 of which were armoured. We now know there were 3 separate missiles. Israel knew that this was a humanitarian convoy. They knew the route of that, and yet those missiles struck. Now, Israel has issued a quite frankly, a rather vanilla response to this, saying they will learn from this and they promise it will not, or ensure it won't happen. Again, this is what happens time and time again when innocent people are caught up in these wars. And the IDF, it seems, and certainly from the people we've spoken to this morning, they're saying that Israel is out of control.
Yeah, look, it's not even the first time that aid workers and humanitarian aid workers have been killed in this war. And I also read and heard all these different explanations about the investigation that the military did. And they say they will learn from it. Honestly, I have to tell you, I've been doing this work for 7 years, and the occupation has been going on for 54 years. I'm tired of hearing Israel, my country, the country I'm currently in, I'm a citizen of, I served in its army, yeah? I'm tired of hearing it saying, we will learn from our mistakes, we will learn from our mistakes. We never learn from the mistakes, and I will tell you why we never learn from them. Because the policies, the way we actually enact war against the Palestinians as part of the occupation, it's extremely tolerant to collateral damage. And in this case, collateral damage is innocent people being killed. And that's why when I hear, Netanyahu saying this happens in war, and the military spokesperson says whatever they say, they mostly say it, and it's really hard for me to say this really, but they mostly say it to look good in the international community's eyes, rather than actually learning from the mistakes, because the policies are designed like that. We have been breaking the silence. I've been collecting testimonies from soldiers who served in Gaza and in the occupied territories for over 20 years. We learn how these policies work, how innocent people are collateral damage, even in the cases that it's extremely, it's always unjustified in my eyes, but even in cases like this, So the problem is not investigating. It's not a specific mistake that was done here and there. The problem is that the policy allows to kill innocent people on a daily basis.
And Ori, you used to be a tank commander in the IDF. You can speak to the culture that there has been there for, over the past 10 years, but particularly over the past 6 months. You also spoke about collateral damage there. What about reports over the weekend in Israeli newspaper Haaretz? IDF soldiers admitting to the operation of kill zones within Gaza, whereby anybody, innocent civilian, Hamas member, child, entering that zone would have been shot. What do you make of those reports?
Again, as a former soldier, I'm not surprised from this report. When I served in different places, we always drew an imaginary line that was unannounced, that would be called the red line, and anyone who crosses that line, we have to shoot to stop. Luckily for me, I never actually did that, but we always had that line. So as a former soldier, I'm not surprised from what I just read. We are right now in Breaking the Silence in the process of collecting testimonies from soldiers who returned from the war and want to speak out against the orders that they received. And I really hope that in the next few months, we will have more concrete testimonies, information from soldiers who just did those things that we can share more. But as a former soldier, this article was not a surprise to me and was devastating to read, of course, because again, when you design an imaginary red line that you don't announce and you decide that everyone who crosses that line is a legitimate target to kill, you again increase the number of innocent people. I want to remind all the viewers here, we're talking about over 32,000 Palestinians killed, over 12,000 children in the last 6 months. Yeah, this has to stop. Like I can't emphasize enough how much this has to stop. And also commenting on Minister Cameron and discussion so forth, much more action needs to be taken place than random conversations with our ministers.
Can I just jump in, Ori, if I may? Those are really shocking revelations that you've just told us. I mean, really shocking revelations. You also mentioned the command structure there in Netanyahu. There are protests breaking out in Israel against Netanyahu. Do you sense the mood of the Israeli public is changing?
I think that the protests against Netanyahu are extremely important. I completely support them. Netanyahu, is maneuvering this war according to his own political needs completely. Yeah, I have no doubt in saying that even. I think that the tides are turning about that. I want to also be realistic and say here that the tides are turning not because of, the killing of innocent Palestinians, unfortunately, but because of other political processes, and of course, so important, because the fact that our government is basically not doing anything to retrieve our hostages, of 134 hostages, that our government, instead of doing everything they can to fix their huge mistake that caused those hostages to be taken, instead of retrieving them, they are doing like political calculations of what is best for them in order to survive, even if it means sacrificing the hostages and leaving them in Gaza.
Well, thank you so much, Ori Givati, from Breaking the Silence there. And